presently the most commonly used instrument is scoop, which consists around 84% of the stock market bonds which are being issued. And then again, out of that Islam scoops, for some reason 88% scoops have been issued as a sovereign scoops, that means government-based scoops. So private sector has only issued less than 9%, and remaining the difference of around 3% that has been regarded as a quasi-sovereign scoops. So that means there is a huge potential for the private companies, for listed companies to come into this area. And recently a scoop was issued around a year back by Pakistan Reinsurance Company, so of around $100 billion worth. They are going to phase it out from 2015 to 2020 in different phases. So $100 billion scoop in a national market from a Pakistani company. That tells you the scope. If a small economy like Pakistan can get $100 billion, then his master's in financial management from Germany. Then he started his career in academia at the German university as a lecturer. Before that, he worked with Pfizer over there in the finance department for 2 years. Then his love for academics or research brought him back to academia, and he worked with the German university as a lecturer. After that, he started his PhD with the Tuban University. His thesis has been submitted, and he is waiting for a defense of that. Presently, he is running Amana as a CEO. It's a training institution, Islamic finance. Also, he is a visiting faculty with the university, with the Wittenberg University, Holland, and Coburg University, Germany. And to me, the cherry on the top is, the reason I said in Parliament part, is a former graduate of this very institution also. He did his first master's from here in banking and finance. So this is the reason it is a matter of great honor and pride for the institution that one of our students has raised to this level, and for us as a teacher also. So please enjoy it. I welcome Shah to come on stage.
Ijaz Sheikh introduced me. It is not only a great pleasure for me, but I'm feeling like a home because I graduated in 2008 from this very own institution. So I call it my home. Why home? My teacher, most of here, they know me mostly not 24/7, but you can call it 16/7. I was on the campus and I was just attached with my teacher. I will be sharing my story and why I'm so much attached and why Haile College of Banking and Finance is so dear to me, and I decided to come over here. A story will be coming shortly. But our topic is Introduction to Islamic Financial Instruments and Contracts. In this 45-minute talk, please bear in mind this topic is a bit challenging because we are dealing with the most of Islamic finance instruments which are being used by the financial institutions and other financial organizations. I have divided my presentation into two parts. One part will be covering the basics of what is Islamic banking and finance, and so that if some of you are not familiar, you can have a basic understanding. And then I will be covering some of the Islamic financial instruments, what are their applications and why we are using it and why we are not using it, because this is a critical debate among financial experts in the area of Islamic banking and finance, which instruments should be used. And presentation will be up to 45 minutes due to shortage of time. A very brief introduction, what we are doing after submitting my PhD almost 6-7 months ago, I decided what to do. Should I go to academic career or an industry and do some number crunching, and so what is the option for me? And I have been always fascinated and overwhelmed to give some teaching, to have some trainings, and to impart knowledge, whatever we learn from our surroundings. So that is why we started Amana Institute of Islamic Finance and Economics in Germany in September, and also in Pakistan. We are registered with the government of Pakistan as a private limited organization, and we provide advisory and consultancy, capacity building, online study programs, market research, and in very short time, with our some dedication, we have been able to attach with several leading banks. For example, Bank Alfla in Pakistan. After finishing my talk, I will be going there for one guest lecture, and several other organizations. You can have a look at the video. We could not play it. My story. It is very important to learn, not to learn to have a. I was just an ordinary, you can call it, coming from a very small, remote village, and not familiar with the etiquettes and just you can imagine, sometimes people can call it a pendulum. So it was that similar. But what I realized, luckily, I consider it luck, because if you look, if you have watched the video of Steve Jobs, he said it is always important, or it is always better to connect the dots from the past, because if you are doing something, then you can connect the dots. Okay, why you went to this place, or why you met to this person, or why you did study this course, or did your job something. So I came here and I was selected as a class representative. So that was the starting point, because this opportunity gives me an introduction and liaison and communication with the professors, and I started to look them how they dress, and I tried to copy that as well. And communication, how they communicate among each other, and try to learn what they are doing, because I believe if you can see something good, you can adapt that as well. So I had a great player, and I was working as a class representative. After every time marking class attendance, going to the teacher, if there are some conflicts among students and teacher, resolving them. So that was the starting point. That was also the confidence building my years, because I was not at that time so much confident, and my perspective, or you can say the mind, was so small. So I started to look where is the world and what are the different opportunities. Finished my program in 2008. I got 4th position in banking and finance in the boarding session. This whole credit goes to the teachers, whatever I'm at the moment. So the teachers at the helicopter banking and finance, they were instrumental in transforming not only me, there were many 100 students at that time as well as now. They are working in the big position, not only in Pakistan and abroad. So we got examples, we got inspiration. So that was instrumental, which professors here gave us. So that was the starting point here. And after then I went to Germany. My aim was to do some specialization, and I started my journey as well there. It was a challenging environment, but somehow I managed to learn German language as well, and communicated with the other colleagues there trying to settle down in the local environment. So doing different trainings, workshops, seminars, not only in Pakistan, by the grace of Allah and with the prayers of teachers and parents, I have managed to travel to approximately 35 countries, attended several conferences in the topic of finance, economics, banking and more. I was lucky that our late Professor Khwaja visited in 2013 Austria, and we had a good time. We also visited Germany. Everyone played a very important role in shaping my personality, and Professor Khwaja also played an important role, because teacher is the first interaction apart from our parents. If we go to school, university, we interact with the teacher, and so everyone, I'm not understating that the teachers are present here, they are not capable. So each and every person is very special, I believe, and that is why I'm so much attached with it. And even going there, I was connected with each everyone, Professor Usman, Bukhari Sahab, they know me, they regularly receive my calls and emails and on different Eids and different occasions. So that was the connection developed between the helicopter banking and finance. So that was the introduction. Now I'm coming to the main topic, introduction to Islamic banking and finance and instruments. So first of all, let's understand what is an Islamic economics and Islam. Remember one thing, Islamic banking and finance, which we mostly hear nowadays, it is connected, it is the subset of Islamic economics. The main discipline is economics. And there are different segments derived, for example, Islamic banking, Islamic finance, Sarmuk, Takaful, or insurance, you can call it Islamic insurance. They are derived from economics. And Islam is a complete code of life. It is not about the personal life, it also gives us guidance how we interact with our economic activities. So the guiding principles are based in Islamic economics. So it is important to understand what is Islamic economics. I would like to just state one definition of Islamic economics. So Islamic economics asserts that the Islamic tradition of law and organization provide a more just and equitable model for economic growth. So this is very important. It provides, Islamic economics gives us an opportunity to have the equal rights, to have the opportunity to work on equal basis compared to other models, for example, capitalism and socialism. So that is the core of Islamic economic system. If you ask me what is Islamic banking and finance, so we can define it very easily. So Islamic banking and finance or Islamic finance. Let me give you another information. These are interrelated terms. The basics, the main term which we use in financial industry is Islamic financial services industry, and it includes Islamic banking, it includes Islamic finance, and it includes sukuk and asset management. There are many other sub-components. So the rules of Islamic banking and finance are derived from the Quran and the Sunnah or the Hadith. So these are the sources. So what we call overall collectively it is the Sharia. So that means the rules which we follow, the governing principles in the area of Islamic banking and finance is based in the Sharia. Now you are already aware what is a bank. Bank is a financial institution which works as an intermediary between those who have access of money and those who are looking for money. And the definition of an Islamic bank is similar, but a financial institution which works on the basis of Islamic finance, on the basis of Islamic law, or on the basis of Islamic principles. So that is the difference between a conventional bank and a Islamic bank. We will be discussing what are the main difference points between conventional banks and Islamic banks. That is coming shortly. Testing your knowledge, just to engage my conversation with you. Can anyone, just in one or two words, define or explain what is the core difference between conventional banking and Islamic banking? Just in one word or two words.
Elimination of interest factor.
Elimination of interest factor, absolutely correct. So this is the core difference. There are many other differences, but this is the starting point. And how many of you are aware that the riba or interest is prohibited in other religions as well? Because in Islam it's absolutely prohibited, but there are some other religions which are here. Okay. Judaism, any other? Christianity? So riba is the main difference, and it has been categorically explained, described not only in Islam but in Christianity, Judaism and Islam. And Islamic banking and finance is a continuation of principles of ethics and fairness, and the continuation है उस faith की. That is the core of Islamic banking and finance. But with the passage of time, the riba is allowed in Judaism and in Christianity. There are some other reasons. That is not our topic. We can have an informal talk on that, why they did it. So this is the core. So the point which I was making is interest or prohibition of riba is not something new, or it is not stated at the time of inception of Islam. It is the old tradition. What are the main principles, the characteristics of Islamic banking and finance? One main component is if something is immoral, then you should avoid it. So it is based on ethics and fairness. There is also the second principle is reward sharing, risk sharing. So there could be some insurance and risk management students. They know what is risk and return and all these concepts very well. So in Islamic finance, it is not like that. You pass your risk to the third party and then you are safe. So you have to share that risk. So this is an important component as well. Then this is the third element, which is short selling. Short selling is if you are not having any possession of any commodity, you cannot sell it. So one of the main reasons of recent global financial crisis, which took place between 2009 and 2007 and 9, and recession is still going on in European economies, is the short selling, because they created derivatives and other credit default swaps based on securitization. In any transaction, one must clearly stipulate what he or she is going to buy and sell. So that means clarity of information, that there should be no ambiguity. So these are some of the Islamic banking and finance basic tenets. There are many other basic rules and regulations. Okay, what are the main characteristics, or you can say what are the main pillars? I would like to just discuss four main elements or four main pillars with you. First one is profit and loss sharing. The second one is asset-backed financing. The third one is ethical values, and the fourth one is development of human beings. So these are also values, these are also the rules on which Islamic economic system is based. Let's discuss what is profit and loss sharing. In Islamic financial instruments, we will cover that shortly. If you would like, there are some instruments which are primary instruments, and there are some other instruments which are secondary instruments. I will explain in detail, but just because this is coming first, I will give you some perspective. You have to, if you are dealing on the core topics, core instruments and contracts, then you have to share profit and loss with the customer. If bank is entering in a relationship with that client, then the joint venture or the partnership should be on the basis of profit and loss sharing. Then asset-backed financing. Another reason of financial crisis, I'm sure you are already well aware, was the lack of real assets. The Western economies, you can say the subprime bubble which busted in 2007, there was no assets behind it. So I'm using securitization. I have a building, and I have given that building and created small shares of that building and distributed to a number of people, but there is no actual building behind it, means there is no actual asset behind it. That is why Sukuk, like Mr. Asad Ajaz stated, is overwhelmed by the industry players. Many organizations, not only in Pakistan but in Europe and in Southeast Asia, they are issuing Sukuk bonds. Sukuk is a bond, but they are issued in an Islamic way, and interest is prohibited. So that means the assets are behind it. So the real economy is behind it. It is not something which is in bubble. You are not. You are dealing on the real basis, not on the debt basis. So this is the second component. Ethical values. There should be no. If you deal with the core topics, core instruments of Islamic banking and finance, return is not promised. So it is not like that you will ultimately get 5% rate of return or markup. It could be you can also face a loss. So this could be a situation. So this, unlike to the conventional financial institution. Then investors must be treated equally. So it is not like that. If there is a rich investor, you are giving some more preference and compared to the other elements. Short selling is not allowed. Productive investments, as we shortly discussed, the real economy and transparent and no gambling. So these are the ethics and values on which our Islamic economic system is based, and development of human beings. How many of you belong from economic discipline? Means you studied in your bachelor's economics, and then you came for MBA or BBA. So the core of economics, if you look at, is the development is for equal rights and something like that. The Islamic economics places a specific emphasis on the equitable resources, so the fair distribution of resources, the Falah concept. So that the people have equal rights, they can spend their lives on the basis of whatever they effort do. If you do more effort, you can have more returns. If you do less effort, so it's all about the development of humanity. Okay, now it's the time to share some perspective on the timeline of evolution of Islamic financial services industry. If you talk in Europe or in Western countries about Islamic banking and finance, they ask several questions to you. There are some core questions or main questions. One of them is why Islamic banking and finance is now booming, and why not 100 years ago, and can anyone explain why Islam? We are talking extensively about Islamic banking and finance nowadays compared to, because conventional banking is pretty old. Conventional banking and conventional finance are different. Any reason?
Because of recession in the other side, on the western culture, conventional banking.
Okay, this is one of the reasons. Thank you. Any other reason? Historical reason. Historical reason is you are aware that, for example, during 1910, 1920s and 1930s, later on, or even before that, many Muslim countries were occupied by the Western powers. So at that time, they developed their own rules and regulations. If British were here in subcontinent, they were not propagating the Islamic rules or Islamic economics or Islamic law. Even there was a ban on all these activities, so that Muslims cannot develop their own concepts, they cannot frame their own mind and go to the freedom. At that time, so I'm telling you the reasons. The principles of Islamic economics and banking and finance, they were at that time present, but the application was not there. So this is the point I'm making. But after the liberation of many Muslim states during 1940s and 50s, they started to think we should have also our own system, like the conventional system. And many scholars, for example, in Pakistan, in our subcontinent, for example, Maulana Maududi, they talked about the revival of Islamic law. Professor Najib from Egypt, they talked about. There are many Islamic scholars. They started thinking, okay, what is the riba, and it is prohibited, and we should have our own system so that we can develop our economy on the basis of that. So that is the reason Islamic banking and finance in a formal form started during the 1970s, because if you look at the traditional banking or the modern banking with the use of technology, it started during 1950s. So that was the starting point as well. So this is the answer to that criticism, one of criticism. There were some experiments in the area of Islamic banking and finance. For example, in 1963, 2 experiments were made in Egypt and in Malaysia to run a bank or a financial institution on the basis of fairness and to avoid riba. So that was 1963. The historical development came in 1975 after when first Islamic conference was held in Makkah. At that time, it was decided to form an Islamic bank. The bank was named as Islamic Development Bank, which is now playing a very critical role for the development of Muslim countries, especially developing Muslim countries. They provide financial assistance, they provide scholarships and research grants to financial institutions as well. So this was the formal start of Islamic banking and finance, and in that year the Dubai Islamic Bank was also opened. So Dubai Islamic Bank was the first ever Islamic financial institution, commercial financial institution I'm talking about. And then there were many organizations established, accounting and auditing organization which is based in Bahrain during 90s, and then many Western organizations, for example, Dow Jones Islamic Market Index was established in 1999. In 2002, another important development was the establishment of International Islamic Financial Services Board. This board is similar to IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. So there's an organization, International Accounting Board. They provide and they develop accounting standards. So this institution has the responsibility to formulate strategies, rules and regulations for the Islamic financial services industry. And if you look at the development of Islamic banking, and then as you mentioned, one of the reasons we are talking about Islamic banking and finance is the recession and the financial crisis. After the financial crisis, many Western economists and Western business intelligence magazines, they stated that Islamic finance could be a viable option to avoid next financial crisis. So that was the starting from the Western side, because we were being, if I'm calling we means Muslims, this trying to develop their system. But then on the other side, from the Western world, they also started to think. Even there was a news clip from the Vatican City, which is the holiest place from the Christianity side, located in Italy. They said Islamic finance could save humanity. You can also Google it on internet. Then many organizations, if you go in detail, whether it's Citibank, whether it's Standard Chartered Bank, Barclays, they all started Islamic banking windows and Islamic banking activities. Now, most of the questions we have already asked, why Islamic banking and finance? Because after liberation of many Muslim countries, we were striving to have our own system. Financial crisis played an important role because the Western powers, they also realized that it could be a good and viable system. By the way, for just your information, these all banks, they are not involved in Islamic banking just to promote Islamic finance or Islamic banking or Islam. They are involved in it because they see benefits, they see return on investment, which you calculate. So that is why they are taking it as an opportunity to maximize their return and profitability. So these are the some of crises which also pave a way to think, is there any alternative financial system which we can also work? For example, dot-com bubble, global crisis, Asian crisis, and Russian financial crisis. There are many crises. Just to give you a perspective and another historical perspective, the president of Nigeria stated during the G8 summit in 2000, he said, I'm just going to quote that.
$70 billion.
58 million.
Okay, you are quite close. It's approximately 68 billion US dollars which we have borrowed in recent years. Approximately 60, correct figure is 63 or 65. Now you can imagine, and you are a economist or you study banking and insurance, you know interest and that sort of thing, you calculated your financial ratio analysis. I hope Sir Buhari had a good class, and because when I was studying, we had extreme calculations on financial analysis. If you have to pay interest on 65 or 63 billion dollars on annual basis, you can calculate. Even you know from news, every time Pakistan has to borrow money to repay the interest. So you're not paying the principal amount. Principal amount is jumping. I still remember Sir Usman gave me one case study. I had a good time because when you are a student, you have a study and then you have nothing. So you can either spend your time on doing something or you can just have a walk around the campus. He gave a case study. He said, Ashfaq, look, can you do a research? Can you find at the time of inception from 1947, took some 7 books, and I was just taking the notes and tables. I was just creating tables. That was my first interaction with the research. What is the research? In 2007, I still remember. I created a report and I showed in a tabular form, okay, in 1947 until 1955, we had 1 billion loan and so forth. And I presented to Sir Usman. So afterwards, I published that report in the form of my first ever publication, Pakistan's past, present and future, and that was an analysis how much money we borrowed and how much we owe. And at that time, I still remember, I'm not remembering correctly, if you look at statistics, at the time of President Musharraf, there was aspect. So what are the different contracts and what are the different instruments available in Islamic banking and finance? Give you another perspective. There is always a debate and criticism among Islamic finance experts and ulamas, because most of the banks I will discuss, they are dealing with murabaha. They are dealing with the less complicated instruments. They are not going for partnerships and for joint ventures. There are some reasons. So let's discuss what is musharaka. The simple meaning of musharaka is sharing or participation. It is on the basis of profit and loss, and it is arrangement between 2 parties or 3 parties and so forth, where you jointly make an enterprise and you do contribute your capital. So it is just like a partnership where all parties contribute their money and they distribute their share on the basis of profit and loss. Where this musharaka is implemented or the practical use, it is mostly used for real estate financing, SME financing and home financing. But please keep in mind, this instrument is not widely used, not only in Pakistan, around the globe. A small percentage of this instrument is being used. Why? Because if you would like to have a partnership with a client, and I'm sure most of you have your bank accounts with different banks, and if you make a partnership, if you deposit your $50,000 or 50,000 rupees, and you have to calculate, and it's a lot of work for the bank on side, and banks try to avoid because might be the client is not stating correctly the return. So cash inflows and cash outflows, you can manage, we can easily manage and manipulate the financial statement. So that is why this is one reason. Another reason is the bankers, what we are saying, looking around us, they are not professionally very much qualified. I'm sure nowadays we are having many institutions like you are sitting here. But if you go back 10 years ago, then there were not many highly qualified bankers who can easily calculate and who can easily deal with our complex instruments, because these are the complex instruments there. From this slide, what I'm talking is very easy, but if you practically transform it in a case study, it's complicated. So that is another reason. then sometimes if you present a project to a bank, the project feasibility is not financially viable. So then bank will say you, okay, I'm not going to partner with you. They do on the big level, so on the multi projects. The second instrument is mudarba, which means there is one person, one technically sound person. He could be educated, he could have technical expertise in mind. So he is not responsible for the loss because he has not contributed any capital. If I don't have money and if I go to a bank and I start a new project. Yesterday I was talking in one university and there was a similar question from one professor. The professor said, even he was heading the Department of Islamic Banking, and he said, why Islamic banking? And I think Islamic banking is nothing, just the cut, copy, paste, just the name is changed. And there is a misconception regarding Islamic banking and finance. So, as I mentioned earlier, we should be realistic. We should not be idealistic. We should give this industry some time. You know how it's a matter of centuries in which conventional banking and finance industries, the rules and regulations, the parameters, the systems were established. And Islamic banking and finance is just a matter of 40 years. These Islamic economic principles are in place since the time of inception of Islam, but it is our, you can say, mistakes are our problems, how we are going to implement it. So it will take time, and hopefully efforts are being made, and we will have a separate mechanism.
By default, the bank is going to acquire their money by selling their assets. So what does that justify?
Okay. This is a criticism question, not from you, I will criticize it. It's a very interesting question because when we say Islamic banking, that means we believe that, and it is Islam is a complete code of life, and believe that if there are two institutions and if we go to Islamic bank, they will offer us on very competitive rates, loans or facilitation. So because this is all concept is development of human being. So Salah concept. If you read the economic literature from Maulana Madudi, from Siddiqui, from other Islamic scholars, they also criticize because Islamic banking and finance should be a viable system to finance and to assist the middle class, and because it's just a joke. A bank is an institution. If you don't have money, they will not even allow you to enter in that premises. So this is just to put it in place. The problem is, it's not problem for banks. They are there to make profit, of course. And in Islam, there is no restriction. You cannot make. You can make profit, but it should be on the basis of fairness. I personally believe, my analysis is, it should be the responsibility of regulators. For example, we had a conference in last week and we were discussing with other colleagues why in Pakistan, other areas, for example, PIA, steel and other our sectors are not performing so well compared to the banking sector, because banks are making billions of rupees profit. The reason is they are not taking it in a development perspective. They are to make the profit. It is the role of a regulator, for example, State Bank of Pakistan. They should ensure that if a bank is earning 1 billion rupees in a year, they should finance 20 billion or 30 billion or 20% in the case of Qarz-e Hasana. So this is the core of Islamic banking. So this is not about the Islamic concepts. Islamic concepts promote fairness, transparency, and we should help each other. So we need to refine this system, and this is not only in Pakistan entirely. If you look at the statistics, the role of Qarz-e Hasana is the interest-free loans, or that is just 1% in overall Islamic financial services industry. I hope things will, because there is criticism going on from the Islamic finance experts that we should correct it. Because if we talk about development concept, and so this is a criticism. Okay. Why we blame others? We should start from our side. We should also let's be honest with ourselves whether we are doing good things or not. Of course, every time this is a propaganda that the West is against us. To be very honest, let me frank, we are against ourselves. If somebody is doing a good work in Pakistan, another person is just playing a politics and leg pulling. We should brainstorm. I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to state facts and figures. This will give you an example. Islam says that there should be cleanness, there should be, our environment should be very friendly. How many, you can visit, I have visited many Muslim countries, you can visit how much clean Muslim countries are. What is the environment we are living in it? So this is one example. Non-Muslims don't say us that you don't clean well your surroundings and we are putting all of our garbage on the roads and you know what is going on. So we should stop blaming others. We should first of all strive for the betterment of our society, for the betterment of our country. Then we can think what conspiracies are going on. Why you don't develop your own standards and systems? Who can stop you? For example, let me give you another example. That's a political statement. Iran is, I have no political affiliation with any party, not only in Pakistan or with any government or anything. If you are strong with a side, then you can stand up. If you take loans and then they will dictate you your terms and not on your terms and conditions, they will dictate you their terms and conditions. So first stop self-sufficient economy. If you build your self-sufficient economy, everyone will follow you. Look at the example during 1970s. Many Europeans were willing to come to Pakistan. Even there is an example. The American president used PIA plane to come from United States to Pakistan, and when Mr. Ayub visited USA, there was a tremendous protocol. And now if you are minister and any political figure visit any country, even a third secretary, which is equal to the 18 or 19 grade in Pakistan, they welcome you. So we have to, if we are economically better, everyone will respect us. But if we are not, if we are fighting with each other and then we will blame, okay, this person are doing against, and this is, I don't think so, this is like that. And regarding the academics, maybe you are not aware, there are more than 50 Islamic financial education providers in UK alone, and only there are 2.7 million Muslims living in UK. You can imagine. And now you can say this is also a conspiracy and they are promoting Islam, and so this is a political question. I hope I give you some examples. The point I'm making is we need to correct ourselves and then we can blame others. If we are strong, then nobody can stop us. Thank you.
Is there any limitation or regarding the what should be minimum required return? What should be the minimum profit or what should be the percentage of profit defined in Islam? Is it there? Nothing is there, right? So far as Western knowledge is concerned, it's based on the time value of money that you should have minimum required return. So basically, when you talk about time value of money, it means you want to bring some sort of uniformity in the banking system. And when you talk about Islamic banking system, then there will be no uniformity. Whereas they want to bring a uniformity. So a regulator cannot define what should be the benchmark, because if you are going to set the benchmark, it would be some sort of interest. That is basically the biggest challenge. 600 Islamic financial institutions, they are working around the globe and primarily in 100 different countries. For example, in non-Muslim countries, there is one bank or non-development bank institution or a firm or an association or a cooperative is working. I would rather differ to regarding your statement benchmark. I believe if Pakistan would like to say that we should develop our people and limit banks. If I'm a regulator or if I have a power, I will enforce banks, because if you are making tremendous amount of money, then why you don't give loans on Karzi Asna and without collateral? So this is a problem. Because his question was, if I don't have a collateral, the bank will not give me money. So this is an embarrassing situation. We should develop some systems so that most of the people should have, even if they are not having collateral, they should have the access to money. Regarding your other part of statement, time value of money, people are making effort. For example, IFSB and other organizations, they are striving hard, and we should give them. So this conventional banking took years and centuries, and this our system is on modern level. It's just a 40-year industry, so it will take some time, and we believe young people will come forward, and you are also young, but they will enforce the system. And you can critically analyze. This is one aspect. You can join a bank, for example, after graduating from any college. You will have a fresh mind. You will apply complex instruments, and you can make a difference. So this is, and you can be a writer, you can be an entrepreneur, you can start providing education and awareness training sessions.
There was a question as well. Here, there is no slide. If any one of you would like to join us, we are always looking some talented people. Talent is something debatable. We are always looking some proactive, passionate, and those people who are willing to make a difference. We can learn things. So we are not a perfect people, professionals. So if you are, any one of you are really passionate, and there are 3 forms you can join us. You can be volunteer in our organization. You can just pass on information. You can be part of any seminar. You can organize seminar on our behalf. We are conducting seminars on free of cost basis. So we are not receiving any funding from CIA or from MI6 or any other organization. So we are doing our own basis. You can be part of internship. Some of students ask, I live in Multan or in Karachi, or your office is in Lahore or in Germany. You can do some internship as a home office. No, there is a tendency of work from home office because of advancement in technology. But if you are capable, if you have 3 qualities, proactiveness, passionate, and if you are willing to learn. When I say proactive means and passionate means you are crazy and you are doing something from your heart, not because if you do something you take as a passion, then you can make a difference. So you can contact us. We have our Facebook page. You can visit our website, which is www.amana.com. But please bear one thing in mind. I always state that if you send us application for internship or for a job, we will only contact that person who meets the requirements. Otherwise, you will not even receive an email, because we do receive emails, 100 emails in a week, and it took a lot of time of staff to reply emails. So please keep in mind that.
And also State Bank has encouraged the financial institutions to use Wakala as a source of financing, and for that IOP, which you already mentioned, Accounting and Auditing Islamic Financial Institution, they have issued a Sharia Standard 52 mentioning certain terms and conditions for an instrument to be Sharia. Since it is an academic body, so obviously we are not using typer and they are not using any time-based revaluation.
So thank you very much. Of course, that was a high-quality speech which was quite informative and explores the various spheres of Islamic banking and finance. But I'm sure that Mr. Ishwaq would also be impressed the level of knowledge of our students, especially the question which they raised. As far as Islamic finance and Islamic ways of business are concerned, so this is, although there's a lot of years people are working on it and doing research on it, but still it is considered as somehow a new and a later development in the economic field. As myself had my PhD in Islamic marketing, so that's also a dimension of again the Islamic business. So by 2019, it is said that the size of the halal market would be $3.7 trillion in the world. So this is how the banking side, financial sides, and marketing sides are increasing in leaps and bounds in the world. What are the reasons behind it? The reason behind it is that one is that the Muslims have started looking at the religion not only from the purpose of the barakat and the abadat, that's also very important, but also they are trying to find out and figure out the solutions to their problems through their religion. And as we say, and which is the biggest truth, that the religion which we have is the complete code of life, which have the solutions to all worldly problems. Another reason is that Muslims are getting influential because of their size, their number, as well as their wealth. So here we are talking about the wealthy Muslim states as well as the Muslims living in the non-Muslim cultures and countries. So earlier, those Muslims which were living in the non-Muslim cultures, they were very contented to whatever is being supplied to them. So they considered that, okay, we can't do anything, we are bound to eat, we are bound to drink, we are bound to go through a banking system, a financial system, which is being given to us because we are quite alienated, because this is not our country, because we are not a voice here. But with the passage of time, as their number is increasing, their influence is increasing, so they have started exerting themselves, and they need their own systems, they need their own products. So they have started exerting themselves, and they have told the West and the non-Muslims as well that the reason and the solution of our and your issues ultimately lies in Islam. And so this is the various researchers our friends, colleagues working in various parts of the world on these directions. They are doing a great contribution to serve the Islamic community as well as our religion. So there are, of course, as you have questions and you put certain questions and you still have certain questions in your minds, there are real efforts going on, and there are still more efforts required to search out further how the Islamic system would be compatible on international and global levels. So there are efforts being done in this direction, and hopefully we would have answers to all those good questions. So with these few words, I thank you once again, Ashfaq, and we wish that you would keep visiting your institute and you would develop a liaison with the college for the days to come. Thank you very much.
Because this is my own institution, and we would love to leave some our mark in our institution in the form of a momentum. We have brought two momentums. One is for the honorable principal. Professor Buhari invited one guest speaker on the topic of risk management in our banking class, and students are lazy, including me at that time. At the time of that talk was 9 o'clock, but that was a 3-day session. In the first day, the enrollment in the class was very low, and the second day it happened also, and unluckily I was also the late at that day. And Sir Buhari took the attendance, and there was a notice on the board. Every student should pay 500 fine or some other penalties. And no students came to me because I was class representative. And now the question is how to deal with the situation, because Sir was very angry, and I was very afraid. I went to Sir Buhari's office and I said, now the negotiation started. I apologized. First of all, I wrote a letter on the behalf of the class, and finally we waived off that fine. And I learned how to negotiate with Thank you very much. The faculty member is so capable, so special. Maybe you cannot imagine, maybe you cannot realize these persons are so special. They impart knowledge, not only knowledge, they give you guidance. Means you can go to any office, you have the access, they will guide you how you can broaden your mind. So lovely to see everyone here, and I'm grateful and I'm really feeling honored. Thank you so much.